Good morning and welcome to the Telegraph. We're here today to talk about WPP's half-year results, just announced. That bellwether of the world economy has said that revenues are up 7%, operating margins up 0.5% and headline profits up 12% to £637 million. And I'm joined this morning by Sir Martin Sorrell, Chief Executive of WPP. Good morning, Sir Martin.
Good morning, Kamal, and my first time on Telegraph television.
Well, you're very, very welcome and good to see you there at the London Stock Exchange.
Good.
Take us initially through, Sir Martin, the numbers themselves. Pretty positive.
Yes, I think all in all we accelerated our like-for-like growth in the second quarter, and we've given July. July we saw a further escalation. So by cumulative to the end of July, we're up about 2.8% like-for-like. Up until the end of the second quarter, 2.4%, 2.1% in the first quarter, and then 2.7% in the second quarter. So we saw growth, and as you mentioned, our revenues as a whole, reported revenues up 7%, profits up about 12%, dividends up 20%, margins up 50 basis points, a new high for us in terms of the first half. So all in all, a very positive picture with dividends up 20% and a commitment to increase the dividend payout ratio from 40 to 45% over the next 2 years. So we're looking at a pretty broad group picture. From a functional point of view, media investment management and digital are the stronger parts of the business. And from a geographic point of view, the UK did well. It was actually the fastest growing region. The US strengthened. Asia, Latin America, Africa and the Middle East and Central Eastern Europe continued to be strong relative to the mature markets, but not growing quite as fast, with the exception maybe of Latin America and Africa. So the BRICS markets, particularly Brazil, India and China, as we know from a capital investment point of view, have come under a bit of pressure, and stock market point of view, come under a bit of pressure, and indeed from a currency point of view, in most cases have come under pressure in the last few months. That's not been reflected in our business totally, because our business is very focused on the middle class and lower middle class and on consumption. So for example, in the case of China, where the 12th five-year plan is very focused on switching savings into consumption, we've continued to benefit, even though the GMP growth rates have fallen slightly in the context of the 12th five-year plan, which calls for 7.5% compound over the next 5 years.
Now, Sir Martin, you touched on the UK there. Very, very good performances
Yes.
from your businesses here. What's your sense about how the UK economy is doing? Obviously, growth is coming back into the system. How robust is it?
Well, we've seen a good business in the UK actually for the last couple of years. If you went back about 2 years ago, we were employing, I think, about 12,500 people. It's now up to almost 15,000 people in the UK, and that's come in the last couple of years. So we've added more than 10% to the number of people in the company in the UK, and our revenues are, I think, including associates, about 2.8 billion, almost 3 billion, compared to almost 7 billion in the United States. So UK remains our second largest market, with China our third largest, around 1.5 billion. But we've seen continued growth here, Kamal. I think that's a reflection of the strength of our UK businesses. We have a strong market share, very strong brands here. They do very well. They win new business. Xaxis, our online platform, is doing extremely well. Media buying platform is doing extremely well here in the UK, as it is around the world. So I think it's a reflection of our business. UK generally, I think there are signs of an improvement, not massive. I don't think we want to lose sight of the fact that we're still running below what we see in many other countries of the world, but it's certainly an improvement and a vindication of the Chancellor's policies. I mean, it's been a tough 5 years since Lehman in 2008, in September of 2008, but life is getting a little bit better in the UK. There's no denying that fact, and I think in front of the next election in 2015, I think things are looking better for the government, looking better for the coalition, certainly in respect of its competition with Labour, and these economic policies that were decried several years ago are starting to work, albeit with considerable difficulty, considerable unemployment, and unemployment is still at socially unacceptably high levels. And we make reference in the statement to this jobless recovery that we see, which is a tragedy, really, in countries like Spain, where youth unemployment is as much as 50%.
Okay, so Martin, just finally, could I just ask you briefly about the situation in the Middle East? Do you feel that what is one of your famously grey swans, do you think that what's happening in Syria and what could be happening there is going to be a bit of a risk-off moment for the global economy and a high risk for the Middle East?
Well, I think it is, and I think it is an area of great concern. It's not just Syria, it's Egypt and elsewhere in the Middle East, and the knock-on effects of what may or may not happen in Syria, and obviously an extremely difficult situation for President Obama, for Prime Minister Cameron, and indeed others to deal with. And one does worry about its implications, for example, for the oil price, its implications for worldwide economic growth, and disruption in an important region of the world. One hopes it can be isolated, but the fear at the moment, and the markets are reflecting this, the fear at the moment is that it will spread. So you combine that with a concern about the principal risk, which I think is the timing of any tapering and the intensity of any tapering. And you see the new governor, Mark Carney, trying to deal with that issue. I mean, he talks about trying to maintain interest rates at lower levels for 3 to 4 years, but the market obviously is having some doubts about whether that's practical. I think probably he will succeed in what he's trying to do in terms of forward guidance, but it does create uncertainty, and this timing of tapering and withdrawal of financial assistance, of a loose monetary policy, is an issue that's absorbing the market.
Okay. Thank you very much, Martin, for joining us today.
Thanks, Kamal.
Thank you.